What makes episode 6 hit even harder is how slowly Tommy realizes he's losing control, not just of the company, but of his place in Cammy's life. Galino doesn't rush anything. He doesn't need to. His confidence is quiet, almost surgical, and that's what makes him dangerous. When Tommy tries to push back against the partnership, Galino doesn't argue or threaten. He simply positions himself as inevitable, as the only man who can keep everything from collapsing. And episode 6 keeps backing that claim up in ways that feel deeply unsettling. The rodeo scene becomes a turning point, not because anything explosive happens, but because of what it shows Tommy about his new reality. Standing there, watching Cammy and Galino laugh, talk, and move effortlessly together, Tommy feels something he's never felt before in this world. Invisible. He's no longer the center of the decision-making. He's no longer the man Cammy turns to first. He's just there. Galino makes sure of that. He charms Cammy openly, while at the same time dropping subtle comments that needle Tommy, comments that sound harmless on the surface, but are carefully designed to create distance and doubt. To Cammy, Galino sounds supportive and reassuring. To Tommy, he sounds like a warning wrapped in a smile. He plays both sides with precision, slowly pulling them apart without ever making a move that can be clearly called out. And that's what makes it so cruel. Tommy is trapped in an impossible position. If he pushes too hard, he risks losing his job and Cammy's trust. If he stays quiet, he watches Galino take more ground step by step. Every look, every laugh between Cammy and Galino tightens the knot in his chest. He's torn between protecting the woman he cares about and protecting the life he's built for himself. And the episode makes it painfully clear that he might not be able to do both. While this emotional battle is unfolding, the consequences of Galino's influence start spreading outward, reaching even Tommy's own family. Cooper, riding high on the belief that he struck oil and independence at the same time, is about to come crashing back to reality. At the Patch Cafe, there's no shouting, no dramatic outburst. Tommy doesn't need it. He dismantles Cooper's fantasy calmly, piece by piece. Yes, Cooper has oil, but he has no operation, no LLC, no accountants, no plan for payroll, debt, or long-term responsibility. Tommy tells him the hardest truth of all. Thinking you understand this business is not the same as actually understanding it. Then he breaks down the deal Cooper signed with Galino, revealing how perfectly it was designed to benefit only one side. On paper, it looks impressive. In reality, Cooper was never going to see the money he imagined. The realization hits him hard, draining the excitement from his face as he understands how trapped he really is. This moment mirrors what's happening to Tommy on a larger scale. Galino doesn't force people into bad positions. He lets them walk into them willingly, believing they're winning until it's too late. Landman Season 2? Episode 6 doesn't just move the story forward, it hits like a breaking point. Every decision feels heavier, every conversation feels dangerous, and by the end of this episode, it's clear that nothing in the Norris world will ever feel stable again. This is the episode where control slips, lines are crossed, and the cost of power finally comes due. Section 1. Landman Season 2. Episode 6 delivers in a huge way because it forces every character to face a truth they've been avoiding for far too long. From the very beginning, the pressure is unbearable, especially for Tommy, who is standing at the edge of losing the one thing that defines him more than anything else: his job. This episode makes it painfully clear that loyalty, experience, and sacrifice mean very little when money, fear, and survival take over. Tommy has spent his entire life keeping the Norris family and MTEX running, solving problems quietly, and protecting people from consequences they never even see. But in this episode, all of that work starts to crumble, and the worst part is that it's not because he made a mistake. It's because the world around him has changed faster than he can control. Cammy, on the other hand, enters this episode already carrying grief, exhaustion, and responsibility that would crush most people. She truly believed the worst was behind her after the offshore blowout. She thought the insurance mess was handled, the damage contained, and the future finally predictable again. Episode 6 destroys that illusion almost immediately. The arrival of Landman with a strict 45-day deadline to begin re-drilling the Louisiana well turns a bad situation into a terrifying one. This is no longer just about money or corporate stress. This is about criminal exposure, legal threats, and the very real possibility that everything Cammy is trying to protect could be taken from her overnight. The meeting that follows is one of the most brutal moments of the episode. Cammy learns that the $400 million settlement she believed was safely waiting for them was never really there. Instead, it had been quietly moved into Monty's separate corporate structure and scattered across private equity investments. Recovering it would take months, maybe longer, and would cost money they simply do not have. The lawyers don't soften the truth. They don't offer hope or reassurance. They give her the cleanest, coldest answer possible: bankruptcy. On paper, it would save MTEX, but it would erase almost everything Monty built. For Cammy, this option feels like losing her husband all over again. Declaring bankruptcy doesn't feel like a business decision. It feels like betrayal. Before Cammy can make that call, Tommy steps in and finally tells her everything he's been carrying alone. He talks about the cartel-linked mineral rights, the negotiations that nearly got him killed, and the moment Galino stepped in when everything went sideways. Tommy doesn't dramatize it. He explains it the way he always does: calm, honest, and rooted in survival. He warns her that accepting Galino's loan won't just look risky. It will make them look like part of a money laundering operation. In Tommy's mind, that kind of attention is something you never recover from. To him, the danger is too big, too permanent, and too deadly to even consider. But Cammy sees it differently. Bankruptcy is not an option for her. Not now. Not 8 weeks after taking over the company her husband built from nothing. When she speaks, it's no longer the voice of a grieving widow. It's the voice of someone who has decided to take control no matter the cost. She makes her position clear and draws a line that shocks everyone in the room. She will not declare bankruptcy. She will not let insurance companies dismantle Monty's legacy. And she will accept Galino's offer. Then she delivers the words that cut Tommy the deepest. From now on, meetings come to her. She will not be summoned again. In that moment, the power dynamic between Cammy and Tommy permanently changes. Episode 6 makes it clear that Cammy is no longer looking for guidance. She is making decisions, and she expects loyalty, not resistance. Tommy, for the first time, finds himself on the outside of the company he helped build. And while Galino watches all of this unfold, he doesn't panic. He doesn't argue. He doesn't raise his voice. He simply waits, confident that events are moving exactly where he wants them to go. When he finally speaks, his words are chilling in their certainty. He is the solution. And as much as Tommy hates to admit it, Episode 6 proves that Galino might be right, and that truth may cost Tommy everything. Landman Season 2. Episode 6 continues to deliver by slowly isolating Tommy in a way that feels both quiet and brutal. The danger here isn't loud or explosive. It's emotional, psychological, and relentless. As Cammy steps further into her new role, Tommy begins to realize that his influence is fading in real time. The rodeo sequence becomes the perfect symbol of this shift. What should have been a casual moment turns into a painful reminder that he no longer belongs where he once stood at the center. Watching Cammy and Galino laugh, talk, and connect while he stands off to the side hits harder than any argument ever could. There's no confrontation, no dramatic fallout, just the slow realization that he's being edged out of both the company and the woman he's been trying to protect. Galino understands this dynamic perfectly and plays it with disturbing precision. He doesn't rush. He doesn't force anything. He simply inserts himself naturally, planting doubt where trust once lived and letting silence do the rest of the damage. Galino's manipulation is one of the most unsettling elements of Episode 6 because it feels intentional and personal. He speaks to Cammy with warmth and confidence, positioning himself as a partner who believes in her strength. At the same time, he needles Tommy with carefully chosen comments, just subtle enough to deny if challenged, but sharp enough to land every time. It's clear that Galino isn't just interested in business. He's interested in control. And the most effective way to gain it is by pulling Cammy and Tommy apart without either of them fully realizing how it's happening. Tommy feels the tension building inside him, caught between protecting Cammy from danger and accepting that she may no longer want or need his protection. That internal conflict becomes unbearable, especially because walking away would mean losing the job, the identity, and the life he spent decades building. While Tommy is being pushed to the edge, the episode shifts its focus to Cooper, who enters episode 6 riding high on the belief that he has finally made it. He thinks he struck oil in every possible way, but that fantasy doesn't survive a simple breakfast conversation. Sitting across from his son, Tommy doesn't yell, threaten, or sugarcoat the truth. He dismantles Cooper's excitement with pure reality. Cooper might have oil, but he doesn't have an operation. No structure, no financial planning, no understanding of the responsibility he just signed up for. Tommy makes it painfully clear that confidence without knowledge is dangerous in this business. He breaks down Cooper's deal with Galino piece by piece, revealing how carefully it was designed to benefit only one side. On paper, the deal looks impressive. In reality, it's a trap. Watching the realization hit Cooper is one of the most grounded moments of the episode. The excitement drains from his face as he understands that the money he thought was coming was never really meant for him. He's locked into an agreement he doesn't fully understand, with consequences far beyond his control. For the first time, Cooper is forced to confront the fact that instinct alone isn't enough. He's trapped, and there's no clean way out. But episode 6 doesn't let this storyline collapse into disaster just yet. Tommy steps in immediately, doing what he's always done best, fixing problems before they explode. MTEX buys Cooper's leases, cancels the note, and absorbs the cost, preventing a complete implosion. It's a temporary solution, but it's enough to keep Cooper afloat for now. Even though the situation is resolved quickly, the episode makes it clear that this peace won't last. There's a lingering sense that Cooper's problems are only beginning. Tommy offers him a job, laying out the harsh truth of what it takes to survive in this world. The numbers, the discipline, the rules you must learn before you can ever bend or break them. Cooper doesn't look excited, but he accepts because reality has finally caught up to him. Episode 6 uses this moment to show the difference between ambition and experience, and how costly that gap can be. As the episode moves forward, it becomes clear that every character is standing on unstable ground, and the choices they make now will echo far beyond this hour. What makes episode 6 hit even harder is how slowly Tommy realizes he's losing control, not just of the company, but of his place in Cammy's life. Galino doesn't rush anything. He doesn't need to. His confidence is quiet, almost surgical, and that's what makes him dangerous. When Tommy tries to push back against the partnership, Galino doesn't argue or threaten. He simply positions himself as inevitable, as the only man who can keep everything from collapsing. And episode 6 keeps backing that claim up in ways that feel deeply unsettling. The rodeo scene becomes a turning point, not because anything explosive happens, but because of what it shows Tommy about his new reality. Standing there, watching Cammy and Galino laugh, talk, and move effortlessly together, Tommy feels something he's never felt before in this world. Invisible. He's no longer the center of the decision-making. He's no longer the man Cammy turns to first. He's just there. Galino makes sure of that. He charms Cammy openly, while at the same time dropping subtle comments that needle Tommy, comments that sound harmless on the surface, but are carefully designed to create distance and doubt. To Cammy, Galino sounds supportive and reassuring. To Tommy, he sounds like a warning wrapped in a smile. He plays both sides with precision, slowly pulling them apart without ever making a move that can be clearly called out. And that's what makes it so cruel.